Well, welcome back. Our very first guest at our inaugural show is none other than our Superintendent of Schools in the Bucyrus School District, Kevin Kimmel. And boy, Kevin, I'll tell you what, the times that I've been, many times I've been in school greeting the new teachers and the other events there, you've got an impressive group of administrators, you have an impressive group of educators and staff, and I don't think the public really knows enough about them, and that's what you're here for.
Okay,
that's what you're.
Well, it's good
Tell
to
us
be
what's
here.
going on in
well, this is exciting time of the year. As you said, we have a very dedicated staff that works with our children on a daily basis. The summertime is an opportunity to reflect and get recharged for the school year. I'm happy to announce that we've had the lowest teacher turnover this year than we had in any of my 8 years as superintendent. So we've only we're welcoming in 5 new staff members this year, and we have a new teacher orientation this month to kind of get them accustomed to our town and to our school district. And then we welcome back the teachers on Monday, August 20th, which is the Monday after the Bratwurst Festival. We couldn't start anything before the Bratwurst Festival. That's a sacred time in our city. So, but then we welcome our kids back on the 22nd. So, some important information out of the district. We put out a what's called a smoke signals edition, back to school edition. Here's a copy of it here. Should be at everybody's house by now. If you didn't receive a copy of this newsletter, please contact my office, and I'll be sure to get that information to you.
That's a great tool too. And I see. It's. Do you guys do this in house?
So we've changed a little bit of our smoke signals. We've went to a full color glossy. Tried to add student photos in there, information about the school district, and just this past year we added what was called quarterly newsletters, Redmond Way newsletters. But the smoke signals is a staple in our school district to kind of welcome back the students and parents to our school district. So all the back to school information is in here. We gather the information in house. We have a company that helps us kind of do the design layout, and then A1 Printing prints those for us here in town.
It's a well done, very professional. And I love this relentless pursuit of success. And I know you mention that often. And
yeah, that is our vision for our school district. So everything that we that we strive for in our district, it focuses around that district vision right there.
And getting everyone to buy into that. How difficult is that?
It takes some time. The Board of Education really sets the vision and the mission and the goals for the district, and it's our job as administrators to communicate that in various ways throughout not just the school district but throughout the community. So it's something that we constantly bring up and talk to our staff about. We talk to the community about anytime I have a speaking engagement. We talk about the relentless pursuit of success and what that means to not just the success of our students, but of the staff, the school district, and really the whole community. We take an important stance that we feel that the school district is a staple for our community, a foundation piece for our community, because we're really building the future of Bucyrus. So we take that very seriously, that responsibility, and we appreciate the opportunities to partner with the city on programs like our expanded school resource officer program that we'll be welcoming this year.
Let's talk about that for a second, because that's been a very successful program, partnership between the city for decades now. And at the middle school and the high school, Officer Joe Stahl has been in service now for a couple of years, I believe.
Actually, she has been she's been in service for a couple of years now, but she's responsible for both, had been responsible for both buildings. So she would split time between the elementary building and the secondary building to really to impact as many students and staff members as she can. But in light of really the school safety issues that have been going on throughout just not our state but throughout the country, we felt it was necessary to expand the exposure of our school resource officer program. That's why we're welcoming a second SRO officer to our district. So we'll have a full-time person in both buildings.
Now, can you tell us how adding that second person came about?
was really, it started with it started with meetings with the administration and the Board of Education. We had community meetings about school safety, and after probably several months of just having dialogue about what can we do to continue, not only continue to operate a safe school environment for our students and our staff, but how do we continue to expand it? How do we continue to provide more protection, more support? And after, like I said, several meetings, both at the board level, administrative level, community level, parent level, we approached the city about the idea of adding a second resource officer. And while we know that budgets are tight, we collectively work together. Mm-hmm. So there's now a shared responsibility, cost responsibility between the city school district and the city government in order to provide that second full-time resource officer.
And the city administration was delighted that they came to us with this proposal. Yeah. And we just tried to figure a way to make it work. You know, your budgets are tight, our budgets are tight, but with the cooperation of both of us, and the approval of City Council, we were able to partner with you. You're getting a great officer too.
Yes. Yeah.
Officer Jimmy Mata. We'll have him, and I think in a future show we'll have him, both of those, and Chief, maybe you back and talk about what a school resource officer does. But
and it's much, and it's important to know, it's much more than just a presence of a police officer in an event of a crisis. It's really the daily interaction that they have with our students and our staff. It's not just, like I said, just an emergency situation. Yes, it's a value. Most school districts would give anything to have a uniformed police officer full-time in their building with their kids. But we're fortunate to be able to have that, but it's the daily interaction that they have with the kids, the safety talks that they have, the relationships that they're building. And what we do know about school safety is it's best to be proactive and identify those potential threats early on and deal with them, as opposed to waiting for it to escalate to a point where there's a disgruntled student or parent that comes in and does something that we didn't see coming. With those relationship building opportunities early on, we hopefully head off any of those potential crises.
Yeah, we live in a different world.
Yes.
I mean, it's unfortunate that we do, but I feel really good about how proactive you are on some of the issues there. It's all about, like you say, the relationship building and identifying, potential issues. When I come and speak, you've graciously invited me to speak for a few minutes. I always take a little longer than I should, but I love speaking too. I have such a love for our school system because of what it's meant to me and my wife, my brothers and sisters, and my children, and the sacrifice that people made to give us a good education. And I know how important it is. You mentioned something a little bit related to the future of our community. We're only as good as our students that we produce to come to the workforce to be our future leaders. And today takes new methods. I always say new methods, new ardor, and I see that when I come to these schools and with the staff. I like who you've got in place there. And I hope you invite me to speak again this year.
Absolutely, I'll invite you right now.
Okay.
So our welcoming back to school staff meeting is Monday, August 20th. That's an important day.
Write that down.
Yeah,
okay.
That's an important day because not only do we welcome back the entire staff to the district for that day, for meetings and setting the stage for the school year, but that evening is our district-wide open house. So we invite the parents in to the school district. That's Monday, August 20th. It's in the newsletter on the back cover. 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, that starts at the elementary. The elementary school is open from 5 to 6:30. Parents are encouraged to come and bring their students, bring the supplies, because you can drop those off that night so the kids are not bogged down carrying those to school on the first day of school. But the kids get an opportunity to meet their teacher, start that connection early in the school year. So the elementary open house is open from 5 to 6:30, and then the secondary school back here, the schedule is it opens up at 5:30, and that's open from 5:30 to 7. And then we have a dinner at the at the secondary school, where all parents and families are invited to have dinner free of charge, starting at 6:30 at the high school. And after that, the final event of that night, it starting at 7 o'clock, is the fall meet the team pep rally out at the athletic complex. So we invite you, if you have children in both buildings, get to both open houses, have dinner on us, and then stick around for the fall meet the team night that night.
That'll be fun. Bratwurst being served?
We are not serving bratwurst that night because we don't want to. We don't. That's the Monday after bratwurst, so I'm sure everybody will be. Yeah, everybody will be full of that.
Maybe chicken sandwiches or something. No, and that, you mentioned something that I wanted to ask you about too. Fall sports getting underway too. I saw some football practices going, and tennis starts too. And
right.
What else is in the fall?
So we have volleyball, we have football, obviously the cheerleading piece of that, and then we have the golf going on, and we have girls tennis. Okay, so those are the sports for the fall.
Okay,
So,
good.
and then obviously the marching band has been very busy. They spent a week at camp last week, preparing for the upcoming Bratwurst Festival, the upcoming marching band season, and once again we welcome back a very strong and proud marching band for our district.
I was not in band. I was in sports. I was too, athletic for band. I don't know. I wish I was in band because my two girls were in band. Loved it. They had a great experience. So you've got a couple really good directors there, Mr. Fisk and Mr. Scheifele. Yeah. Yeah, and I know camp wasn't all that fun, but when they got back, that was well worth it. One more thing, I want to, before we let you go, and we certainly thank you for being here today. It's an exciting time for the city, exciting time for the schools. I notice on the smoke signals, if you look at all the administrators here, they've all been here a while.
Yeah,
how do you get them to stay?
Well, hopefully we treat them right.
Yeah.
Truly, it takes a dedicated staff that really is committed to not just the profession, but to our school district and our community. And it's nice to have familiar faces that have been with our district many years, some as many as 30 years. We have a couple 30-year veterans that are in our administrative team now. Dr. Burke, the principal at the secondary school, has been with us for 15, 16 years. Mr. Sauer at the elementary school has been with us 12 or 13 years. So we have a very experienced and dedicated administrative staff that really all strive to do what's best for kids, and that's what we look for.
That's the number one thing, because you come right back to this theme. The relentless pursuit of success is all about the kids.
Right.
So I want to thank our very first inaugural guest, Mr. Kevin Kimmel. A lot of admiration comes from us to you, and I know you have. This may seem like you have the weight of the city on your shoulders, but I want to let you know the city is here to support you in any way, and whatever we can do for you, and we'll be there at the 20th to speak, and hope give it a little encouragement and let them know. I lost this last weekend a teacher who had been an important part of my life in school and beyond, and so many of us. Mr. Hess is nodding his head there. Ms. Betty Gorsuch was my government teacher, and she was an influence in my life. Many people there at Bucyrus High School, and we're sorry to lose her. So maybe we'll talk about her a little bit at a later date there.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity to come and share what's going on with the district. Yes, you can. It's your show.
Website.
Yes.
What's your website? You want to announce
www.bucyrusschools.org. We just did a rework of our website, so be sure to check that out. What you'll see is much more video, many more videos on there. There's a welcome back to school piece that I've done. Both building principals are on there. There'll be much more opportunities for the videos to become part of our website as opposed to just the printed text. So we know that that's kind of the movement. People absorb news in multiple ways, but we found it needs to be quick, to the point, and we utilize all of our social media outlets through Facebook, Twitter, and obviously the website. So keep your eyes open. There's lots of good things happening at the school district, and we appreciate the connection that we have with this, and the partnerships that we've had with the city, and look forward to even furthering those partnerships.
Well, thanks again.
Okay.
Thanks again so
Thank
much.
you.
We'll see you on the 20th.
All right.
And everyone, if you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of the school system there, and go Red. My Mayor's Roundtable. It's going to be a monthly show that kind of highlights what's happening in the city of Bucyrus. And our second guest here is none other than our Safety Service Director, Mr. Jeff Wagner. Now, we'll have him back at a future date to tell what a Safety Service Director does, but in a nutshell, let me give you his job. He does everything from soup to nuts. He manages the city employees, he manages every department, he oversees it. He's got his hands full, and he's, well, first of all, how many years have you been a Safety Service Director?
I do believe this is number 8.
Yeah, and he's doing a great job. I hope he sticks around for a long time, because so much of the things that happen behind the scenes in Bucyrus that you don't see happening, have successful outcomes, are due to Mr. Wagner's creativity and his leadership. So, welcome, Mr. Wagner. We're glad to have you.
Well, thank you for having me.
I know you're glad to be here. He loves the spotlight. So, Jeff's going to talk a little bit about 2018, the projects that have been going on, the varied and many projects. And as we are in August of 2018 now, many of these projects will be completed, and we might have a few minutes to look ahead to 2019 too. So, what would you like to talk about? Tell us about some of the projects that we're working on right now.
Well, right now, we call it our Mill and Pave program. Actually, it's just repaving some of the streets in town, and we're finishing up, as you can see, with City Hall. Finally got the entrances done here in the last week. We appreciate your patience with getting in and out, but those are open back up, but we will be closing the parking lot here in the next week or two to get it repaved, and they'll have to mill out all the old blacktop, and so hopefully we have that done before the Bratwurst Festival.
We hope so.
Yeah,
we're planning on it.
That's our goal. We still have some downtown work to do. We're going to do some crack sealing downtown, and we're going to restripe the whole downtown. So hopefully we get that finished up here in August. And as you can see, we got Plymouth Street tore up for our ODOT project that we've been waiting on for, I think it's been talked about 12 years or so.
Many years.
They're on schedule, hopefully, to finish up in October. Providing.
Could I stop you on Plymouth Street there? 'Cause
Sure.
it's dear to my heart since I live on Plymouth Street. Looks like they're making good progress. I see they crested the hill. The railroad tracks are finished. That's a big project. Now,
Correct.
are they? Tell us exactly what they're doing on Plymouth Street.
We did some sewer and storm sanitary separation due to the EPA. It wasn't in our plan that we submitted to the EPA, but we do get credit for it. Since we were there, going to be milling the street and doing some work, that it'd be the time to do it. We've done a little bit of water lines there, but not a lot. And they'll be putting in new curbing, all new sidewalks, which I don't think that's ever been done on Plymouth Street. So it'll be a nice gateway into the community coming in on State Route 98.
Yeah, speaking of sidewalks there, it's I think a lot of the original sidewalks were still like sandstone. I know my house, which is over 100 years old, had the original sidewalks on there. And curbs, I think, probably aren't the original, but it's going to be a nice entryway, one of our few entryways off our state routes. And then next year, 2019, in the fall, we'll come back through and we'll plant trees. So it'll be, when you come in there, it'll be a very beautiful entrance. We want our entryways especially, as well as our neighborhoods, to look nice. And you mentioned this is an ODOT project. Well, what's the city actually have to do with it then?
Well, we still have to pay our share.
Which is what?
I do believe the project was about $2.5 million. So I think our share is probably going to end up in the $700,000 to $800,000 range between the storm fund, the sanitary fund, and the street paving program fund. So it's very important that we have that 20% typically as our share, but there's other things they don't cover that we have to cover out of the rest of our funds. That's very beneficial. Last year in the fall, we did 19 and 100, which is Hopley Avenue that came through town. That was also another program through ODOT. And next year we have 2 more programs. One's called the Urban Paving Program, and the other one, I lost.
Small Cities Grant.
Small Cities Grant, thank
Yeah.
you. Going Route 4 North and going Route 4 South. So next summer, those both will get done utilizing that programs from ODOT. So
We apologize in advance for the hassles there, but you know, we want our town to look right. One of the ways it does look right is to make sure the streets are paved. North Sandusky has been in a rough shape for a few years, and we were fortunate last year to be awarded what's called a Small Cities Grant for cities under $25,000. There's special money put aside there. So that's going to be a nice addition to the north side. That's going to be paved all the way out to the bypass?
I think all the way to Crossroads.
All the way to Crossroads.
I do believe.
So the city has to pay 20% and any overages on that aren't included in that grant. And that money comes from where?
Typically, well, the majority of that money comes from our street levy fund. And it's very critical that we keep that in place. That it not only helps us do paving in the city and do the Small Cities Grant, urban paving, it also employs about 6 of our employees that
That's right.
do snow plowing and other maintenance, and you know, it would really be a real struggle without that.
Yeah, I sure would. And the only reason I bring that up, and that's going to be a topic of a future show or two, that's coming up for renewal next year in 2019. And very important that that levy gets renewed, and it means so much. As without that that money that we take in for that 0.5% income tax, which brings in roughly about $1.5 million a year, that allows us to keep our streets in good shape and to repave everything according to schedule. Some streets obviously get more traffic than the main streets do. Last year, quite a bit of it, or this year, was spent on Southern Avenue, and that was part of the EPA project, the storm separation there. Now, let's talk about Southern Avenue just a little bit, because that was kind of a rough winter for Southern Avenue.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes we look to bid out projects. We look for wintertime work because that's when contractors are looking for work and we get better pricing. I know last year when we did Southern Avenue, we also did a water line replacement, I do believe, on East Street. And typically that's a winter project. Well, they all seem to hit the area at the same time, and unfortunately it happened that way. And we had some railroad crossings. And we can't control when they do all that work, and unfortunately it did cause a little problem getting around town. And trust me, we don't like that any more than anybody else, but when you're at their mercy, it makes it a little difficult.
It does.
You take it and get it done when you can get it done, and if it saves the taxpayers money, that's the best time to do it. Just have to leave work a little earlier, and I think we finally got through it, and I think the end goal, the project turned out nice, and we had to come back and do a couple things and get some manholes fixed and things like that, but overall I think it was a great project.
And yeah, it looks good too. Can you talk a little bit about a couple more things? I want to mention our parks, but I also want to mention cooperation with the county commissioners about the project we did out on Southern Avenue by the fairgrounds. Can you talk a little bit about that, about alleviating the flooding?
Yeah, that was another project that we've been working on, it seemed like, for the last 5 years. If you lived out in Robin Hood or Sherwood or out by the wire in that corridor, from the information that I've been told, that used to be the natural river flow through the city. Actually came right through all that property. And when they developed all the subdivision there, they eliminated that. Well, it still needs a place to go. And unfortunately, you know, the Y built new out there, which was great for the community. And they put a detention pond in, but wasn't near big enough and didn't handle it. We created a lot of flooding in the area, and we didn't have much avenue to go other than go to the county commissioners and say, hey, you know, we'd like to use part of your land for a detention pond. And we finally came to an agreement, and they let us do that. And ever since we put that in, It has even filled to the point of overflowing, but it overflowed naturally into the rest of the grounds out in the parking area, which alleviated all the flooding, at least so far, in that area. So-
Yeah, that was a real success. So what we try to do in our administration is to, which I mentioned in the first segment, we work with the school system. We work with anybody that's interested in making Bucyrus a better place. And that includes, people in townships, people in the other cities, Gallion and Crestline, and whatever we can do. We're interested in making Bucyrus and Crawford County a premier place to live, raise children, work, run businesses. Jeff and I both came from retail backgrounds, and we know how important it is to get along with people, to work together with people, to serve people. So we always want to let you know out in the community that we're here to serve you, and so we're doing our very best. Now, having said that, we both have realized there, and the rest of the people in the administration, that things don't work quite as quickly in government as they do when you run your own business. There's a lot of steps that have to be taken. So you need to have patience sometime. And we hope that we are giving you plenty of forum to talk, and we're listening to you, and we're hearing you out. And you're a lot of times our eyes and ears out in the community. So if you see a street that needs to be paved, or you have a pothole, or an issue with anything at all, please feel free to contact us at City Hall and let us know, and we'll follow up with any of those things. And the last thing I want to talk about before I let you go is about the improvements at the parks. Can you talk about the bond that was just received, and what's going to be going on at the parks here in August and later on too?
I do want to back up though on your comment first before I answer that about.
You're allowed to do that.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt you're on a roll there, but when we do get calls about streets in your area that you feel need paved or done, just keep it in mind that we do have protocol and reasons why we go where we go and do what we do based on traffic, usage, how much money we have to spend.
Condition of the road.
Yeah, condition. I mean, we take a lot of things into factor there, and it's not that we don't want to do it. We try to take all that into consideration before we make those decisions. So don't feel that we'll put you on the list. That doesn't mean we won't get to it eventually, but just be patient with understanding how that works.
Keep in mind that $1.5 million goes pretty quickly in asphalt. It can be very expensive. And next year we're considering doing some concrete streets, and concrete is even more expensive. So he's right. We prioritize it. We try to get to your street just as quickly as possible. Sometimes we have to do some patching here and there to get us through. So now can we talk about the parks?
Yes,
I love talking about the parks. So let's. Last year was a big year at All Miller Park. For the pool especially.
Correct. We actually added a slide the first time in, 2 years ago?
2 slides. Yeah.
I'm sorry, 2 slides to the pool, which seemed like the kids are enjoying. And this year we're actually going to redo the bottom of the pool. It takes a lot of concrete. The sides are actually stainless steel, but the bottom of it is concrete. We're going to have major work done to the bottom, and hopefully we can get that done this fall. And then
can I stop you at the pool for a second?
Sure.
A new pool is going to cost in the millions of dollars. So just like you mentioned earlier about City Hall, we had done some repairs here, and we have to protect our investments. The building here is 50 years old. We put a new roof on last year. We're going to do the parking lot. The pool, even though it's not used more than a couple months of the year, it's a very important part for the community, because it gives a place for young kids to gather, and then we grew up using the pool. We want to make sure that we have a good pool, but it's been leaking some. So instead of putting a brand new pool in for several $1 million, we're going to spend significantly less of that to repair it.
And we're also, including in the large pool, we'll be working on the baby pool to get it back open.
Yes.
So, sorry for the inconvenience there, but it was, I do believe, robbing a pump to make sure the big pool kept it in use. And we'll be replacing the pump room as far as for chemical feeds and things like that. So we're going to upgrade that also.
And that'll making sure that that complex there lasts well into the future. Talk about the courts, tennis courts, pickleball courts.
Finally, after trying to work on it for 2 years and a lot of public requests, pickleball has become kind of huge down south and it's making its way north. And we have made room for 3 courts, and we're waiting now for Richland Seal Coating to come in and seal coat the tennis courts and fill the cracks and paint it. And if you've been out to All Miller Park, they did a fantastic job on the basketball court, and it's held up really well. It's awesome. And as you can see, we have the poles in already for the new fencing going to go up. And as soon as we get them courts painted and ready to go, we'll be able to. We got all the nets and all the material we need to finish it. So
we're excited about it.
New tennis courts and 3 new pickleball courts, and there'll be some bleachers there for people to use to sit on and watch, and better availability.
And when they're all finished, we will rededicate those courts into Sam Sabak. Those courts were named after Sam several years ago. We're had fallen in some disrepair, and it's been kind of a little blight on us, and we've been trying to work for several years to get that done. We finally got it done. Last year, about this time, we opened the Larry Hyde Memorial Basketball Court, and it's been getting a lot of use. So we want our parks to be the best around. We have a limited budget on our parks, but we have an excellent park staff, and we want them to continue to be an important focal point for our community, our shelters, and we're going to be doing a little bit of work on the bandstand roof here this year. Hopefully, get this done, and I think it's the last roof that needs to be done. Am I right there, Jeff?
Yeah. I think we have one other storage building where we're going to be looking at eventually to re-roof it, but the main shelters and the gazebo.
Well, I enjoy working with you. I want to let you know that. And before I let you get back to work, is there anything else that we're not covering that you want to talk about?
No, I guess the only couple things I'd like to bring up is I thank everybody for the car show. The police department, I thought from what I could see, it went well. The weather was kind of sketchy in the morning, but I think they had a great turnout. And we have the Bratwurst Festival coming up, which I know you're going to have a guest for that. And we also have the Spooktacular coming up in October.
That's right.
By the fire department. So
Always a lot of fun.
Yep.
So there's a lot happening, and a lot of this is done in the spare time of the wonderful volunteers in the city, the churches, the community clubs, Rotary and Kiwanis and Lions Club and Altrusa and so many more. And that's what makes Bucyrus a great place to live, but we can always make it better. So,
well, also, our Ask Me workers have done a great job this year. They collected hats and coats for the schools for kids, and they've dived into the community also. So
we'll talk about that in the fall. We'll have them in for one of the future shows too. All right. Thank you very much for coming with. We'll have Mr. Wagner on just about every month. He doesn't know that yet, but he's gonna have to be put on the spot about every month. So because the buck stops right here. So we'll be back in just a minute or two with our next guest. Well, good morning and welcome back, Bucyrians. We're glad to have you back on this inaugural show of what's happening in Bucyrus. I forgot the name of it, Gary.
Mayor's Roundtable.
The Mayor's Roundtable. I'm going to get that down, so I appreciate that.
It's a rectangle.
Mayor's Roundtable. This is kind of an odd shape for. We'll have to get a round table, I guess. So, well, anyway, so we've had several good guests so far, but we're also saving a very important guest for towards the end of the show here. None other than our own police chief, Dave Koepke. And he wants to talk about an event that's become part of Bucyrus, part of the fabric of our communities, not just in Bucyrus, but across the whole country too. And that is the National Night Out. So do you want to tell us about maybe how National Night Out came about?
Well, this is, since 1984 nationwide, there's been National Night Out parties, and Bucyrus has been a big part of that since the beginning. Early on, we got into National Night Out with community-oriented policing under Chief Corwin, and it's been a great opportunity to partner with the community and neighborhoods.
Great.
And it keeps an open line of communication with the neighborhoods, because that's the fabric of the community.
Sure it is.
It binds us together. I like to say people are the police. People are the police, and police are people too, and we live in neighborhoods.
So the word community is a derivative of a Latin word. It means, one. The uni is the Latin word for one. So coming together as one, and a strong community comes together as one. We have 12,000 people live in the community, and if you go out in the townships, not too far away, you have another 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people. So unity is important. Unity is important.
Unity in the community is what it's all about.
Unity in the community, and that's a big part of our administration, and you're a big part of that too. So, and your staff too. We talked earlier about, or with Kevin Kimmel, we talked about how important it is for the city to partner with the school system, and we're doing that with the resource officer. We talked a little bit about. Now, I know I'm here to have you talk about National Night Out, but I want to have you back at a later time and introduce our two school resource officers.
Yes.
Are you willing to do that?
Absolutely.
Great. Well, tell us about how it's going to, what the dates are, and how it's going to come about in Bucyrus.
Tuesday, August 7th, we'll have, and actually we'll be talking about it with a lot of people this Friday, August 3rd, with the Safety Force Night of First Friday. I don't know what the theme is.
Okay.
I know that we're going to be there meeting hundreds of people.
Sure.
And maybe there'll be another party that emerges from that, but we're up to 14 parties now.
Wow, good.
We're in neighborhoods all around town, Lawn Avenue, Plymouth Street, Sherman Street. I have my notes here because I can't remember them all. Ridgewood Senior Villa, North Sandusky Avenue, Southeast Street, East Rensselaer Street, Hillcrest Drive, East Mansfield Street, Woodlawn Avenue, the Church of God, Shell Avenue, South Walnut Street, the 800 and 900 block, South Sandusky Avenue, Southland Avenue, and Manette Street. So you see we have...
all over town. And some regulars that I see on there.
Yes.
And I know this is I just celebrated my 4th anniversary, so I've gone to 4 of them, and these events. And I'll tell you, we hustle. We try to get to, 15 to 18 of these, and over some of them go on for 2 hours, some of them go on a little bit longer. So we're saying we're thanking people and maybe having a bite to eat and shaking some hands, and then on to the next one. So you're busy. You're very busy, but it's a great event. It's a great event for the city.
It's an opportunity for neighbors maybe that don't know each other to meet each other for the first time. Maybe they live 1 or 2 blocks away and just happen to have the opportunity or the venue to walk down the street and say, "Yeah, I see you all the time, but."
Welcome back. Got a very special guest. Well, it's August in Bucyrus, and the preeminent event, if you live in Bucyrus or Crawford County or the state of Ohio, you should know that the preeminent event in August is the Bucyrus Bratwurst Festival. They come from all around. They've been coming for years. And special guest to talk about that today is the Assistant Director, Mr. Kevin Myers, joining us. He wears a lot of hats in the community, does a lot of volunteer work. He's also an at-large city council member in his first term, so has a lot of enthusiasm. He has a volunteer spirit. And I guess the question I've got to ask you, Kevin, how are you going to top last year's Bratwurst Festival? It was the best. I've come to everyone since the beginning, even Colonel Crawford days I remember when I was a kid. How are you going to top number 50?
I'll tell you, we had a great year last year. Number 50 was phenomenal in so many different ways. We set attendance records, we set records of the number of food vendors that we had. And so the way that we're going to make it any better is we're going to keep striving for that next goal. Our 75th anniversary is only 24 years away.
Oh, boy.
And
do the math on that.
we're going to work hard to make sure that we succeed every year so that we can make it to that next benchmark.
That's good. Well, that's the right attitude, and I guess it doesn't come about over that many years, 50 years, 51 years without a lot of volunteer spirit in there. And this year's edition will be no different. It's run by volunteers. I know you have a budget you have to stick in. Most of your budget, I think, goes for entertainment. Am I right there?
Correct. Our entertainment budget is approximately 40 to 50% of our overall festival budget.
And I know one thing that was important to me when I became mayor was to figure a way that the city could partner with the Bratwurst Festival, and I think we've been better partners, have we?
We have both
Good.
been good partners for each other.
Because this is, I mean, it benefits the city. I mean, our name is on this festival, and we have ownership of it too. So we want to make it as keep it at the preeminent festival in Ohio. You know, people love Bratwurst wherever you go, and I do a little travel around the state here and there with business and different things. When you tell you're from Bucyrus, you say 9 out of 10 of them say, "Oh yeah, Bratwurst." Well, thanks again for viewing this very first inaugural presentation of Mayor's Roundtable in the City of Bucyrus. There's a lot happening. You see this, all the guests that we have interviewed today for this show. Kevin Kimmel from the City of Bucyrus, Mr. Wagner, our Safety Service Director, Chief Koepke was with us, and from the Bratwurst Festival, Kevin Myers. Lots going on. We're gonna repeat this show all during the month of August. You'll be able to catch it on our website, on Access Channel. Look for the schedule on that, and on the city website you'll be able to see a link to YouTube. So I hope you enjoy it. Feel free to give us comments on the website or our email. My email is mayor@cityofbucyrus.oh.us. It's kind of a long one. Phone number is 419-562-6767. My extension is 223. Feel free to call me or stop up. Love to see you, love to hear from you. We'll be back in early September with a new program, and then we'll be doing one every month. So if you have any ideas for people that you'd like to see interviewed, we would love to hear from you. Well, thanks again, and we will see you next month, and have a great time in August in Bucyrus. Take care.